When you think about Mercedes, you're no doubt thinking about style, quality and powerful engines. But you should also think about cutting-edge technology, and nowhere is that more obvious or more present than in this, the electric version of the Mercedes-Benz eVito, which Mercedes have rather originally called the Mercedes-Benz eVito. Now it's got an electric motor underneath that bonnet instead of a diesel engine, so let's see how it handles the Vanarama Roadtest.
And it's making me weak, you and your stardust, walking like that.
Now before we get going, I sincerely hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, give it a like, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified whenever we post new content just like this. And if you are in the market for a brand new van, car or pickup truck, don't forget to head to vanarama.com and check out the deals. Now with all that said and done, let's get cracking. So let's begin this review where we always do, at the business end. This is a light commercial vehicle, so the back end is pretty important. Now at the back of the Mercedes-Benz eVito, we have the fantastic Mercedes-Benz hatch. I just have to point out the logo right there. Look at that, it looks beautiful with that lovely blue E, just to let you know that this is indeed the electric version of the Vito. Let's open up the hatch. There we go, look at that. That'll give you shade in summer and shelter in the rain. Now, thanks to a little bit of studio magic, I don't have to remember all the figures. So, the loading bay is this wide at its widest point. It is this wide between the arches. It is this high, and it is this long. Now, there are two versions of the Mercedes-Benz eVito, long and extra long. And basically, which one you choose will depend on whether you like to carry long loads or extra long loads. Now it also has two side sliding doors, so let's head round the side of the vehicle to take a look at those, because they are a great addition. Now on the Mercedes-Benz eVito you get two side sliding doors, so let's take a look at them. Now you can feel the Mercedes-Benz build quality. It slides back nicely on its rails and locks in place, giving you access to the very flexible loading bay. Now thanks to a little bit of studio magic, I don't have to remember the numbers again, so the side sliding doors are at their widest this wide, and they are this high. They provide fantastic access from pretty much every single angle apart from where the bulkhead is to get you into this really flexible loading bay. So look, the loading bay from the Mercedes-Benz Vito is here in the Mercedes-Benz eVito. I mean, why would it not be? And it is absolutely fantastic. It will come ply-lined if you lease it from Vanarama, but it will also have all the things that make the Mercedes-Benz Vito's loading bay so good. It's got all the lashing points that you know and love, and it's even got Mercedes-Benz very own awesome racking system, which is one of my favourite in the marketplace right now. It basically has these little toggles which you can pick up and move around depending on what type of load you want to anchor in place. It's about you, and that is what I love so much about the Mercedes-Benz Vito's loading bay. And you get it all with an electric engine, so you've got low emissions and fantastic storage. Now, with all that said and done, let's get into the other place you're going to be spending a lot of time, the cabin. Now, if you've ever sat in the front of a Mercedes-Benz Vito, then you know exactly what to expect from the interior of the eVito. It's all right here. There are a few space-saving benefits from being an electric vehicle though. There's no gear stick. Now, why does that make a difference? Well, look, you've got your three seats, as you'd expect in a Mercedes-Benz Vito. You've got your driver's seat and your bench seat. Now, if you were the middle person right here, the middle passenger on this seat, normally in the diesel version, you'd have a gear stick protruding up and then basically intruding on your knee space, meaning that there'd be all sorts of awkward knee fondling situations going on. But because this is an electric vehicle, you actually get more footroom, and you're not going to have any awkward knee fondling. There's going to be no misty-eyed moments over a gear stick in this particular vehicle. But everything you know and love from the Vito is still right here. You've got the steering wheel in the normal, comfortable, nice position. You've got the tough dashboard, the very clear instrumentation. You've even got this great big infotainment screen in the center here, and you can hook all sorts of devices up to it. Everything you wanted from the Vito has remained in the electric version, and that is the most important thing. What Mercedes have done is managed to keep the interior of an electric vehicle, something that you'd expect to jump into and see flashing lights, computer screens and gadgets all over the place, but they've managed to maintain the classic Vito look. They should be commended for that, because quite literally the Vito is already a bit of a legend. Making it electric, just makes it even more of a compelling choice for people in the LCV marketplace right now. So while we're here, let's take a look at some of the things that you'll see in the front of the eVito. Now, I mentioned the infotainment screen, so let's have a little bit of a look at that. As you can see, when it first fires up, you get the nice kind of usual Mercedes-Benz splash, but you've got your radio, you've got media in, which can actually be done through Bluetooth as well. You've got your navigation system, all of your telephone options, you can mute things. You've got your system menu where you can change the time, audio quality, etc, etc. You've even got some hard controls for your telephone here. You can hang up, you can pick up, you can skip, you can use the numbers over on this side. It's all here. Everything you'd expect from a modern LCV is here in this control system right there. They haven't changed anything. It's all there. You know it, you love it, it's here. Now below the infotainment screen, you've got a row of buttons. Some of them are blank. But in the middle, you've got your hazard light switch, and you've also got power circulation switch here as well. Now below that, you've got your climate controls, which is great because at standard, this vehicle comes, no matter which one you choose, long or extra long, you get air conditioning as standard, which is a really good addition for a modern van these days. Now there's also an awful lot of storage in here. It is, after all, the Vito's cabin, and we all know that Mercedes-Benz have storage nailed. You've got some cup holders on either side. They're a bit small, but then, I mean, how big are cups these days anyway? You've also got some storage bins up top on the dashboard. You've got 3 of them. You've also got some very generous storage in the doors, perfect for litre bottles of water and whatever other bits and bobs you want to stash in there. There's also a very nice glove box. At the moment, it's filled with the manual and various other bits and bobs, but it's very good and very spacious. Down here, you've got 2 other cubbies. You've got one on the right and one on the left, but the only one you should really be concerned with is this one right here, because it has your aux in and your USB socket, meaning you can attach devices to the machine, or you can even charge them up while you're on the go. 2 more things. This is the electric Vito, and what would an electric van be without a charging cable? It's right down there, as you can see, and there's no handbrake to the left or right of the driver's seat. So where is it? Well, it's actually under here. To the right of the steering wheel, there is a catch that you pull to disengage it, and then when you want to re-engage it, you use this little pedal right there. Really cool. So there we go, the cabin in all its wonder. Now, look, the keys are in the ignition. Let's get them turned and get this vehicle on the road for its very own Vanarama road test. So here I am heading away from Vanarama HQ in the front seat of the Mercedes-Benz eVito, ready for its test ride around the Vanarama test track. I gotta say, it's very comfortable. Very comfortable drive indeed. Having driven a few electric vans now, jumping into the front of one is not quite as daunting or as intimidating as it used to be. I find myself kind of effortlessly slipping in behind the steering wheel, getting everything engaged, kind of not too disconcerted anymore that there's no engine noise. You know, there's no initial kind of ignition noise as the engine starts up. There's just a sort of a low-pitched whine, some instrument dials flash, and you are ready to go. And like I said, it's not daunting or a little bit intimidating anymore. You know, there's no kind of checking like, is it on, is it on? I just know it's ready to go. The Mercedes-Benz eVito is also a very nice one to kind of do after the Maxus eDeliver 3 actually. So while the eDeliver 3 was developed from the ground up to be an electric vehicle, the Mercedes-Benz eVito is a van that basically is the old Vito platform with the electric motor and all the trimmings added in. That means that it's a tried and tested commercial vehicle platform with all the benefits of some really cutting edge technology. It handles roundabouts really nicely, and as I'm moving off into a nice straight, there's a very good bit of pickup from the electric motor as the power is distributed to the wheels. Having driven the Vito in its diesel format, switching over to the electric, I thought I was going to notice a lot more, but actually it feels very similar to drive. Comfortable cornering, comfortable ride, just very pleasant. I'm driving at a relatively low speed right now because there's a couple of heavy goods vehicles up ahead. Now, usually in electric vehicles, especially electric cars, there's a kind of hunger and urgency that you probably get when you're driving a Dodgem, which is that sort of, you can almost feel the electric motor wanting you to push the accelerator down just a little bit harder, and then you're just going to get speed on speed on speed on speed. But in the eVito, it's actually quite dignified. I've got my foot pressed down on the accelerator, maybe only an inch or so, and there's no kind of rise behind it. It's just a very gentle progression of power, which is a real bonus. It's very comfortable. I don't feel, again, like I said, intimidated by this particular engine. It's very comfortable. If you're a delivery driver, you want to be able to get places fast, but you also need to do it safely, and you've probably got things in the back that are fragile. The last thing you want is to have those kind of stop-start, you know, oh, there's a little bit of urgency, put the power on, oh, back it off a little bit, let the artificial engine braking take over. The eVito, sorry, I'm going to have to keep going with that one. The eVito doesn't make you feel like you keep having to put your foot on the accelerator. Just pick a comfortable spot with the accelerator, hold it there, and it just maintains. It's really, really nice. On 100% charge, the eVito offers 93 miles of range. Now, there might be some of you watching this going, 93 miles? That's not enough. But I tell you, really, honestly think about how far you drive in a day. If you're a short hop delivery driver, how far do you actually drive between fill-ups? Are you doing 100 miles a day? Do you need all of that extra mileage? If the answer is no, then the eVito is a compelling offering. It's got that premium Mercedes style and build quality, and it's just a very cool van to be driving around in. People love the eVito. Why? Because when you're an LCV driver, you like to turn some heads, and the Vito has always done that. Sticking an electric motor in the front of it just makes it even more compelling. Zero emissions, no VED tax. Your emissions are zero. I mean, it just has so many ticks in the box, and you've still got a payload of up to 1,100 kilograms. I mean, come on. There are so many ticks in the boxes. Why you wouldn't consider an eVito for your first electric van would be beyond me. And we've just moved into a 50 zone, and the eVito has no problem getting up to that speed quite quickly. And what a lovely day it is today. And see, this is the point. This is what makes me feel good about driving an electric vehicle. I want more days like this. Nice, clear days, bit of sun. You know, I like the fact that maybe there's a little bit of like sort of leaf dappling of light on my face at the moment. Driving through the lovely country roads, protecting the environment while also getting from A to B in a very efficient way. And then think about it. When you get home to charge this vehicle up, it's going to cost you pennies. You're not going to be spending pounds at the pump to keep something like this going. And now for the all-important speed test. Let's see if a medium van with an electric motor and powertrain can match up to its diesel brethren. Here we go down Ladies Mile, or Nettleton Road as it actually is called. So I love this bit of road. There's a little bit of a straight track, then it bends, and then you've got an uninterrupted mile of straight road through country fields. It's beautiful. It's also a really good place to test vehicles like this. So here we go. Oh my goodness me! That is exciting. I've never been in the front of a Mercedes van that goes that fast. So when it comes to thinking about whether you should become an early adopter of electric vans, I think forget all the stuff that you think is important. Range, charging times. Because the impact that a vehicle like this, if you drove this on a daily basis, the impact you would have on the environment, on your wallet, they're big. And that's what's exciting about this type of new technology. It's really exciting. This is a Mercedes-Benz van, tried and tested, Vito platform. It's functional, it's reliable, it's practical, and now with the addition of an electric motor, it's exciting to drive, not just because it has speed at its foot tips, fingertips, whatever. It's because of the importance of a vehicle like this. This is Mercedes saying, we understand that the Vito platform works, so we're going to use it to develop our electric van in the medium sector. And blow me if they haven't absolutely nailed it. I think the fundamental problem that manufacturers come up against when they're trying to develop electric vans is that every one of their customers thinks it should be made for them, it should be made for their trade. Whereas I think with the Mercedes-Benz eVito, Mercedes have uncompromisingly said, do you know what? We're going to use the Vito platform, we're going to find a motor and powertrain that works for it, and we're going to work out the rest later. And what they've eventually come up with is a van with a sensible range, with a sensible amount of power that will suit anyone who has to drive anywhere in a 50-mile radius to do their job. And that is the epitome of designing your van for people to use the way they want to use it. Some people will look at the Mercedes-Benz eVito and say, that one's not for me, and that's fine. And even Mercedes would be the first ones to accept that that's the case as well. But there are going to be loads of people who will look at it and say, do you know what? I want the premium Mercedes package when I drive an electric van. And if that's you, that's fine. The Mercedes-Benz eVito is here for you. If you want something else a little less compromising, then you can go for the Maxus eDeliver 3. It's a little bit smaller. Payload's good, but it's a little bit smaller. It'll turn heads maybe for some of the wrong reasons, because it looks a little bit like a futuristic milk cart rather than a recognisable medium van. I mean, look, I've driven a fair few electric vans now, and I've got to say, the Mercedes-Benz eVito is up there with some of the best. As a sci-fi fan, there's something really cool and endearing about the whine that electric vehicles make. It almost sounds like you're on the bridge of the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's just engaged the hyperdrive, and there's this wonderful sort of and then off you go at light speed. It's absolutely wonderful. I never get bored of it, never get bored of it. And I've got to say, the eVito has one of the best sci-fi whines, I think, in the business. It's just really fun to drive. And we're coming back into the home straight now. We're nearly back at Vanarama HQ. After what I can describe as a very, very pleasant time with the eVito on the Vanarama test track. I mean, test track, test route? Test route is probably a better name for it. But yeah, it's been a very, very pleasant drive. And as I said, it feels pretty comparable to any diesel version of the eVito that I've driven. It's fast, responsive, corners well, roundabouts are no issue. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's a compelling choice in the market right now. And if you lease it, you're going to get it for less. We always speak about leasing and electric vehicles in the same breath because people, quite rightly, get a bit of a moment of consideration when they see the initial cost of what it would be to buy one of these outright. But when you lease, you don't buy it outright. You pay monthly for what you drive. So you put down your initial rental, your monthly payments are then paid from then on, and at the end, you simply hand it back and you can upgrade to a new electric vehicle. And that's it, and you'll only paid a fraction of the value of the vehicle. You'll have paid for what you've driven. You won't pay for any more. So, if you want to be an early adopter, don't worry about paying those large upfront costs. Lease it. Lease it and benefit from being an early adopter without breaking the bank. So, anyone out there thinking, I'd quite like a Mercedes-Benz eVito, but I don't really like the outright purchase price, lease it. Come to Vanarama.com, check out the deals and lease it. And there you go. So there we go. The Mercedes-Benz eVito in all its glory. We've spoken about what's under the bonnet, we've spoken about its excellent loading bay and the excellent cabin. We've also spoken about range and all the other things that you'd expect to find in a review of an electric van. But for me, none of that matters. What matters is what this vehicle represents. It's here, right now, one of those vans that you can get into right away. And it's here at the start of the electric van revolution. Now, range might be an issue for some people, but for many of you out there, this will be the van that works for you. And for me, that's kind of a big deal.